Hey, what's up YouTube? In today's video I have a special guest and it's going to be an interview. His name is Max Vada. He's over 6 figures earner in e-commerce business, and he will share with you techniques and tips how he started in the young age, in the 13 years old age e-commerce business, and then he was able to pitch his product to Shark Tank. So it's going to be tons of value. So for those of you who are your younger age, or if you're looking to start e-commerce business and sell physical products, he will share step-by-step tips and different ninja tips how to start business in e-commerce and dominate the market. So with that being said, kick back, relax, and enjoy this interview. All right, Mike. So tell me about yourself. What are you currently working on? And yeah, just start from there.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Max Vada. I own a few different businesses. I do a little bit of consulting, but my main business is called Puro Organic Skincare. It's a physical brand. We do some retail and we do some e-commerce, but that is my main business. It's an online skincare line.
Awesome. So how old are you right now?
I'm 21 years old.
That's amazing. So you're a young entrepreneur. You're 21 years old. And tell me about more like when did you start it? How did you start out with online business? What prompted you to get into this?
I started my first business when I was 13 years old. I bought a couple different vending machines, and I was doing a little bit of eBay and Craigslist flipping, so nothing too serious. But I took that money like 6 months later and I invented this product called the Erase Case. It was a phone case that you could draw and design with our special permanent markers, and then when you got sick of that design, you could spray it with our solution, wipe it clean, and design it again and again. And that was my first real 6-figure business. I ended up bringing that business onto Shark Tank, and I had it in quite a few retailers, but the majority of our sales were online through Instagram influencers. But the Erase Case was like my first really pretty big, for being 15, 16 years old, business.
Wow, that's pretty inspiring. So how did you mentioned that you bring that business to Shark Tank. How did you how was the process work? How did you start with that?
Yeah, I just actually, the newspaper where I live in Michigan picked up my story as a young entrepreneur, and then the producers on Shark Tank were looking for young entrepreneurs to come onto the show. So they just happened to come across my story. They liked the product. They thought I had a decent personality for it. And so then from there, I just talked to the producers for like 6 months, once a week on the phone for like an hour and a half every time. And we'd go through my pitch, we'd go through what I was looking to do and everything. So it was a pretty long, drawn out process. But then I went out there and I pitched my product, and I almost got a deal with Mark Cuban. He offered me a deal, but I just said no, because it just wasn't a good deal for me, I didn't think. And that was pretty much the extent of it. I went out there, I was on the commercial, and the thing about Shark Tank is they film like 4 or 5 extra segments per season. And then for whatever reason, I got an email and they said that my segment wasn't going to be one that ended up airing. So I went out there, I pitched it, I was on the commercial, but my segment didn't end up airing. So it was a good opportunity, it was a good experience, but I was pretty bummed out that my episode never actually aired.
I see. So how old you were at the time?
I was 15, just getting ready to turn 16 when I went out there.
Okay.
And I was actually the youngest person at the time. I'm not sure if this is still the case, but I was the youngest person to pitch the product on the show by himself. My parents didn't come with me. I was just 100% out there by myself.
Wow, that's so inspiring, because I know a lot of people who will watch this video. I have people that, like 16, 17, 18, and a lot of them don't have this spirit, just go and no matter what, just for whatever you want to achieve. And this is really inspiring that you were 16, you didn't go with your parents, you just had a goal, you had a vision that you going after, and you just went out there. So this one more time proves how important it is, and how important be consistent with what you do, and just have a goal and keep moving forward no matter what, right? So so after that Shark Tank stuff, how did you transition to other e-commerce businesses, and how did you start developing all that stuff?
Yeah, so then after Shark Tank, I just kept doing more Instagram influencers. I started to learn paid advertising, but that was in like 2000, I think 13, 14,
Okay.
might have been more 2012, 2013. I didn't know much about paid advertising. All my marketing was influencer marketing. And then so I ended up selling the business and I started another e-commerce business that was pretty much just strictly e-commerce called 99 Cent Razor. And that business was really similar to like a Harry's or a Dollar Shave Club, but we really honed in and focused on the women's side of the market. If you look at Dollar Shave Club and Harry's, they're really going after the men, but we were pushing more towards the women. And so that was my second pretty big e-commerce business.
So that e-commerce business, did you have a team that was helping you out with maybe ads or anything like that, or it was just one-man show?
Well, I had a web developer in India who I still work with. I had a graphic designer, and then I had a couple of people that would help me with order fulfillment. But when it came to the actual advertising, that was pretty much just me, to be completely honest. I didn't have much help besides I have one cousin that had a pretty good eye for advertising, but my team was just people on order fulfillment because I did everything in-house. And then I had a couple people for the website and a couple people for graphic design, but when it came to the advertising, it was just 100% me.
Wow, it's amazing. So you said, so it was a physical product. Did you do private labeling or you were drop shipping straight from China? How was the process working?
So for the erase case, I had manufacturers in China. They would ship me the products, and then I had about 3 or 4 employees that would actually assemble the whole product in retail packaging. But for the razor business, it was actually a private label deal, and there's not really many people that make good razors.
Right.
And so there's only 4 companies. There's the company that makes Gillette. There's the company that makes Harry's, and Harry's owns the company, so we couldn't work with either of those two. Then there's a company called Dorco, and they make Dollar Shave Clubs, and they make a couple other brands. Then there's Energizer Holdings, and they make Schicks and a couple other brands. And so we ended up working with them, and they actually make the razors in Kentucky, so it was all made in the U.S.,
Okay.
but it was 100% private label.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you
Yeah,
ended up,
yeah.
did you ended up selling that business or what happened to
I
the?
Yeah, I did. It was a fun business. We had a great retention rate. The customers loved the products. Everything was made in America. But I sold it because I couldn't find a consistent way to acquire customers at scale profitably. My average order was like around $10, and my net profit was around 25%. But it was costing me like $15 to $20 with Facebook ads and influencer marketing to acquire a customer. So
Okay.
I was losing money every time I got a new customer. And so after going through that, I just decided it was about a year and a half, 2 years into it, I just decided we had a couple thousand customers and everything was going pretty well, but we just decided to sell the business. And so I found a company. It was a private equity company that owns like 500 of the top really big blog websites, and they had millions of free traffic, and they were looking for their own e-commerce brand to monetize the traffic. And so it was a really good situation, a good perfect fit for them because they had the traffic. They just needed something to monetize it with.
Okay, cool. So right after that business, what did you start doing? What was the next move for you?
So then while I had the 99 cent razor business, I was selling other products. Like I actually sold these dual beam electric lighters. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah, yeah,
seen them
heard it, yeah.
before, but yeah, I sold those for quite a while. I mean, not terribly long, just 6 or 8 months. And while I was selling that, I was starting to get into skincare, and
Okay.
that's when I really kind of got into pure organics, and that's where the majority of my focus is. And the Pure Organic skincare line is it's a skincare line I developed with a group of skincare cosmetics, and it took quite a while. It's been a crazy ride, definitely my most difficult project, but it's been doing pretty well, and it's been pretty successful so far.
So tell me more about this. This sounds really interesting about this skincare line. How did you? Because I'm really interested. How did you? Um, where did you find the product? How did you come up with this? How did you find the cosmetic group that Because I know with skincare in e-commerce, there's a lot of issues with shipment because if the product will damage customer skin, you can get
Yep.
sued and all that stuff. How did you go through all this process and obstacles?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of went through it just by trial and error. Like I didn't realize how many people would want to try the product before they would want to buy it. And so after I did realize that, I came out with a trial kit, and that's been huge. So like my best selling, my best converting, I guess, Facebook ad is our free plus shipping offer for the trial kit. That
Okay.
converts amazingly well, and it's a great introductory offer. But when it came to actually developing the line, I just researched hundreds of skincare manufacturers, contract manufacturers, and I went on LinkedIn and I found people that have been in the industry for years that could really help me. And I invested quite a bit of money into the actual product development, and it was definitely worth it. We have phenomenal products. But looking back, there are things I would have done differently. But we have phenomenal products. And so when it comes to the e-commerce side, we do a lot of free plus shipping, a lot of trial offers. But retail and spas have been a huge opportunity for us too. So Pure Organics isn't just e-commerce. We do work with a ton of spas, and that's been pretty big too.
So you said you invested quite a bit of money. If you don't mind me
Hmm.
asking, what numbers we're talking
Yeah,
about for
yeah. I mean, just to start, I think I invested, I want to say around 20 grand just in the inventory. But then right once we launched, I invested another like 8 grand, and then a couple, then a couple more months into it, it was a couple more grand, and so it just kept adding up. Right now, I wouldn't be shocked if I have about 100 grand into the whole business, probably even more.
okay.
And we're just at the point where we're profitable, but we do a lot of testing on Facebook, and we try to do a lot of outreach to spas and salons, and so that all that stuff costs money, and so we're just at the point of becoming profitable. But it has definitely been a little more expensive than I thought, because the past two businesses, I mean, I started the Erase case with like $4,000, and I built that to six figures, and it was profitable and it was easy. And then 99 Cent Razor, we were profitable because of influencer marketing, and I only invested like 8 or 9 grand into that to start. And so for this, it was a little bit different.
Okay. So where did you find your first skincare product? I mean, was it like through Chinese suppliers? What was the process like for those who watching and let's say they have some money to invest and like what are like step by step process for like absolute not like absolute beginner but like what is the step by step process for them to find a good product, skincare product, and which supplier do you use, what websites? I know.
Yeah, so I just found a contract manufacturer, and which I think is kind of a mistake. So I had to purchase super high quantities within like the 20 gallon drum range, which is quite a bit of product. 20 gallons, because all of my products are around 1 or 2 ounces, so it's a lot of product.
Right.
And looking back, I wouldn't have done that. Looking back, I'd find a private label manufacturer, and I would have just purchased 100 pieces or something. And so I would have done that differently. But if you go into Google and just search private label manufacturer for the niche you want to enter, like private label supplement manufacturer or private label skincare manufacturer, then just start calling and emailing and try to buy some samples and use the products on yourself with your friends, and really try to find the best quality products. And I do definitely recommend trying to customize the packaging as much as you can without purchasing a super high quantities,
Okay.
because our packaging is frosted glass. We actually silk screen the label onto the jars. We don't have any labels. Everything's silk screen printed, so it looks unbelievably amazing, and the retailers love it, and it's super unique and it's different. But I had to purchase 1,000 pieces per SKU, and we came out with a handful of SKUs, and so it's tricky. And now that we're actually testing the products, a couple of the products are our best sellers, and some of them I'm having to kind of liquidate. And so the product market fit is a huge thing that no one really talks about. You have to have a hot product, and that was a mistake I really made with some of the products that I launched with.
Okay. So what is the name of the brand? You said Pure Organic.
Yeah, it's Pura, Pura Organics Skincare. If you Google it, our site will
Okay.
come up. You can take a look at the packaging and everything, and the packaging is definitely good, But like I said, I invested so much into the products without really testing the products from a sales side. I knew they'd work well, but when it came to an actual sales side, some of the products didn't have the hook and the push that I thought they were going to.
Okay. So you said you had like a cosmetic group of people that had
Mhm.
to verify the product, or I don't know how it's working, like that it's like proved scientific, not by scientific, but like by healthcare that people can use it. Is there any
Mhm.
restrictions or how it's working?
I don't. I'm not really too sure on that. The contract manufacturer that I work with, I flew to their office in Florida,
Okay.
and we just worked on it for about a week, and we came up with different sampling variations, different stuff, and I came up with a couple of different products that I was happy with, and we started working with it. They took care of all the ingredient sourcing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not totally sure, but all of our products have natural and organic ingredients, and it's all really high quality stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. So then you said you started to expanding and sourcing your product to retail stores, right?
Mm.
How did you go about outreach to those
Yep.
people? How did you start selling basically? How did you convince them to buy your product over like 1,000 other products?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been huge. And this is something that if you're listening and you want to get into retail, to definitely do. This is one of my biggest tips when it comes to getting into retailers for mom and pop retailers, because we were just getting into small mom and pop spas and salons, not chains.
Okay.
And so what I started doing at first was just cold calling. I was calling about 200 places a day. It was torture. It was a pain in the ass, and I was just getting a handful of people wanted samples. Then I found like a online email scraper on Upwork,
Okay.
and they were scraping Yelp for me for salons and spas throughout the country. And I started just bulk emailing them through this program called Gmass. It's a Chrome extension. I think I just pay like $7 or $8 a month for it. And what you can do with Gmass, if you're not familiar, is you can put in thousands of emails. I think like 2,000 per day. And then you can press send, and then it'll look like if you get the email that the email was just sent just to them. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty easy to use. And so I started just mass emailing all these spas and salons. And my email was saying, hey, do you want a free sample so you can, test the product? And if you're interested, you can put it in your store.
Okay.
And we started just sending out tons of samples. And now we're in about 100 spas and salons, and I'm still kind of growing it. I'm trying to kind of retain my current existing spas and salons a little more, but cold email has just been by far the best way for me to get into spas and salons.
Okay. So where are you currently financially at with this business?
Right now, we do anywhere between like 2 to 5 or 6 grand a week.
Okay.
So we do okay. I mean, there's really good weeks where we'll do 6 or 7 grand. There's some where we'll, just barely hit 2 grand. And so I'd probably say about 65 to 70% of our sales do come from spas and salons now.
Okay.
We still do quite a bit of Facebook ads, but it's just easier for me to do the spas and salons
Right.
because it's a higher average order. I can ship it all at once. There's not an advertising cost like there is with Facebook ads and e-commerce, so it's just quite a bit easier.
So did you try besides Facebook ads any other like Google ads, YouTube? You said I know you mentioned Instagram influencers, but
Yep.
besides that, was anything else working for you?
Yeah, so we were doing we did a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I tested I tested native advertising like Taboola or Outbrain. It's kind of low key stuff. It's a huge traffic source, but no one really talks about it. So we were doing native ads, and I was pushing traffic to these things called advertorials. They pretty much just look like an article, but but really it's like an advertising content. So I was doing that for a little while. That was okay. I also did YouTube influencers, and then we did a little bit of Google AdWords, Google Shopping AdWords.
Yep.
Everything was okay. The one thing that was pretty profitable was the Facebook ads when we did the free trial. But the Google Shopping it probably had a good amount of potential, but I just didn't know much about it. So we ended up pausing that after spending just a couple $100. The influencers on YouTube some were good, some were just average. And the one thing that definitely did work the best was Instagram influencers. But the problem with that is it's really inconsistent. Some work unbelievably well, and then some just totally bomb.
Yeah, I understand. So what are some of your goals? Like, what are you trying to scale this business? Do you want to sell it, or what are some of your plans for the future, I guess?
It's tough to say. I mean, one thing that I kind of regret, honestly, getting into this business is I'm not a big skincare fanatic or anything. I sell women's skincare.
Yeah.
So I think one big regret is kind of going into this. I went into this market just for financial purposes.
Right.
I thought it was good average orders. It's a consumable. And so in the future, I definitely want to move more into markets that I enjoy. I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship, passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about marketing, so I want to kind of move more in that direction. But with Pure Organics, it's at a pretty good consistent point with just the existing spas and salons we have. We're slowly getting into more retailers, and so that's kind of just sitting there at the moment. Everything's going pretty okay with it. We're turning to a profit now. All my debt's getting paid off, and so that's doing pretty good. But with the future of Pure Organics, who knows? It's a decent cash flow right now with our retailers, and we'll see. But me personally, I want to get more into entrepreneurship. I want to get more into helping young entrepreneurs and really helping them with their goals and growing their businesses and doing a little bit more speaking too.
So can you give us some tips, like, for people who watch, even though in my channel not a lot of people who watch like e-commerce stuff, but I still have some stuff. For those who wants to get into e-commerce and maybe private labeling or just in general e-commerce, what would you recommend for those people? What is the best way, the most efficient way? Obviously, they will get everyone will fail, but what is maybe the route they can take to save some money, efforts, and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll try to give you a short, sweet answer. I mean, there's a couple things you want to make sure you do. Number one is you need to have a consistent way to acquire customers. And number two, you need to make sure that you can retain your customers and treat them like absolute gold. And so I'm not a huge fan of drop shipping, to be honest. I've tested a little bit of it, but I hate the lead times and I hate the margins. And so if you really want to get into e-commerce, I would consider just purchasing some inventory, try to negotiate lower minimum order quantities, and go out there and test products. Product market fit is another huge thing that no one ever really talks about, I feel like. And product market fit is just like you have your market, you have your product, and finding products that perfectly align with that market. Like your market just desperately wants the product. They need it. They want it. And I have tested so many different products, like my dual beam lighters, for example. That had a perfect product market fit. Stoners and people that smoked absolutely went crazy for it. And then like my Pure Organics products, I had a neck cream and I couldn't sell it no matter what. I just could not possibly sell it. The market just didn't want it. There was already enough neck creams. Okay. So like if you're going into e-commerce, you need to test products. Try not to buy thousands of pieces like I did with some of my products, because if they don't sell, you're probably going to have to liquidate them at a loss. So test the products, find good products that sell well. Try to really have a unique brand and learn ways to retain customers. And you can retain your customers by phenomenal customer service, quick lead times. If you get an order, you need to ship it out within 24 hours. So they get it within 2 or 3 days. You have to stay consistent with that. And just try to retain your customers, because it is so much cheaper and cost effective to resell an existing customer than it is to go out and retain a new customer. And I guess one more tip with the whole e-commerce physical brand thing is if you do private label and start your own brand, consider doing a little bit of mom and pop retail too. Like it's not everyone loves e-commerce, but it is a great thing to get into e-tail, sell your products on Amazon because like a full physical brand should be sold on Amazon, should be sold on your website, should be sold on other e-tailers and other mom and pop retailers. It should be sold in a bunch of different places, never just your own website. And so, like, if you sell on 5 or 6 different places, then you can really branch out and distribute the product and expand. And so, people love just e-commerce, but there's definitely more potential in just selling online. A lot of just e-commerce businesses like Dollar Shave Club and businesses like that aren't even profitable because it costs so much to acquire customers. So, consider diversifying. Consider doing a little bit of retail and e-tail too.
Okay. Wow, those are some amazing tips. Like
I appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't mean to drag on too much.
No, it's like those tips that you get. I'm pretty sure people will appreciate because like I've been doing some e-commerce and I'm still doing it, and that's absolutely true. Like if you retain your customers, if you treat them like a gold and take care of them, your business will always consistent. You will always make sales. Yeah, besides that, where can people like learn about you more? Where people can follow you? And
Yeah. I post content on YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel. It's just called Max Veda.
Okay.
I'd really appreciate if you checked out my videos. I just make videos on business, entrepreneurship. I really genuinely just want to help people. I'm not looking to sell anything or do anything like that. I just want to help people. And when I was a couple years ago, I used to do speeches to high schools and a couple colleges. And so I love to talk. I love entrepreneurship. So if you have any questions about your business, feel free to go on my YouTube channel or my Instagram. My Instagram is @themaxveda. And shoot me a direct message about your business or your question. I'd be happy to help you for free and just give you my advice for free, my 2 cents. And I'd really love to help you out. So my YouTube channel, my Instagram would be a good place.
Awesome. All the links will be in the description, guys. So if you want to follow Max, the links will be down below. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Appreciate you, Max, for
appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Your tips.